Matt? Well, it was a dark alley one night. I was horny and I had a bit of money in my pocket. No, not really.
£10. It was £10 I charged.
Now, I met Matt first in a horror convention. I think Bristol HorrorCon was the first one that we met, and we started chatting. And I lent him, well, I gave him one of my books that I'd written because it was kind of an extreme horror book-ish. I didn't know extreme horror was a thing at the time. And I lent him a book. I said, oh, could you read that for me, please? It'd be great to see what you thought of it. To which Matt kind of looked interested. It was a good act. But he read it and then he liked it. And then from that point on, we struck up a friendship. It wasn't just through the writing of doing the horror books. There was the rock climbing that we started to do as well. So there's kind of other mutual interest that was going on. And
the brothels.
And the brothels. And the drugs. And all that stuff. So the first film we made was Monster. That had all been set up, the script had been written. He'd kind of spoken to me a bit about it, as sort of friends do. But I wasn't really involved in it in any way.
I was mostly bitching about it to him.
Yeah.
Like, oh, such and such has been a dickhead. It's wasting my time, so I roped him in.
Yeah, so he said to me, oh, I need someone to kind of help out on set. Do you want to be an assistant director? I turned around and said, yeah, I'll do that. Put the phone down. What's an assistant director? No idea what that is. So I quickly had to go and look it up, find out what it was, and then just appeared on set, 3 weeks later, I think it was, wasn't it, when we started filming?
What was the book? You bought a book? Was it like a dummy's guide?
Oh, no, I just did some research. It was internet research.
I've known Matt a long time. We knew each other probably 15 years or so. We knew each other first as both authors, because I used to write books. Well, I still kind of do, but haven't for quite a while, because I'm concentrating on the acting. But yeah, me and Matt go back a long way, and back in early 2017, Matt was getting into pre-production with Monster, put some casting calls out, and I thought, yeah, why not? Let's give it a go. It sounded like an interesting concept, sounded like a really challenging role, so I thought, yeah, let's go for it. Did a few different auditions for it in different ways, and yeah, I was really chuffed to bits to get the role, and it actually took our friendship onto a new level, because before then we were sort of colleagues, and we knew each other from the author circuit and things like that, but we weren't particularly friends. We just knew of each other and we spoke from time to time. So yeah, that's evolved from there, and then after that I worked with him on Next Door, and then a couple of lockdown films we did during lockdown, because there was essentially nothing else to do from March onwards. So, and then this came along, this crazy madcap idea that he had out of the blue.
So Matt I have been working with for probably a couple of years, but not actually done many films with him. So I did a very small role in Next Door, and it was a scene with Rod Glenn. Just literally a very short scene, which was a nude scene, and it was comedy, and it literally involved probably about 2 or 3 lines. Rod jumping on the bed, start bollock naked, and that was it. So that was my first introduction to Matt and his weirdness. And then during lockdown, me and Matt did some videos that we filmed ourselves at home. So he wrote a few scripts, very short ones, like 5 to 10 minute long little comedy sketches. He filmed his parts at his house, I filmed my bits at my house, and we put it together and it looked like we were in the same location. Did about 2 or 3 of them. Matt spoke to me about doing this film. He sent me the script for it, I read it, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to do it. And then I've cast him in a film. He's a very quirky person to work with as a director. He's a lot of fun though, so he gets stuff done, but he has a laugh at the same time, and it makes the whole on-set experience it's an enjoyable experience. So he's cool to work with. Yeah.
This is actually the first time I've ever worked with Matt, so I was a bit of a last-minute casting, actually. So I know Maria, who is in the film. And she literally asked me a week and a half ago, if I was free, and if I'd do it. I've stepped into somebody else's shoes that dropped out last minute. So yeah, I've been friends, I think, with Matt on Facebook for a while, but I've never worked with him.
So we talked about books. So I write books, mainly horror books at the moment. I've done a bit of poetry, which was my first writing. So writing is a big love of mine. Music stuff as well, I've always liked to do. And we're creating there's a new album that we're kind of working on slowly in the background at the same time.
Who's that? Why wasn't I invited? I wasn't invited to this. I ask you to do everything and you won't even let me be in your music album.
You could be in my music album.
Wow. Wow.
A lot of people that Matt work with are very creative in different ways. People are artistic in terms of drawing and graphics or writers, all sorts of and actors obviously as well. And I think Matt's good in that he surrounds himself with lots of really creative people. And he attracts them because he's such a creative guy, and he's constantly churning out lots of great ideas. So lots of creatives come to him for that. I mean, yes, I've written several books, horrors, crime, sci-fi, and action horror. So bits of all sorts, really. My books. My very first book was called The King of America. Way back I started writing that in high school. It took about 20 odd years for that to be published. It's called The King of America, and it's a what if America was in the future run by a monarchy once more, and how that would play out. And it ends up there's a revolution, and you have people loyal to the crown and those wanting to start a new republic. So, but set in the future essentially. And then I wrote a trilogy of books called the Cinema Trilogy, Cinema with an S, about a film-obsessed serial killer. So yeah, all sorts of stuff really. Some post-apocalyptic stuff as well. Bit of everything. I like to mess around with genre. Actually, it's not even about genres for me. I have an idea for a story, and I like to create complex characters within that story, and then a genre sort of emerges. I don't have the genre in mind at the start of a story.
So I do a lot of directing myself. I've done horror films, I've done like psychological thrillers and dramas, that kind of thing. Started directing after acting, but only like maybe a couple of years after. Because I'm one of these people, I like to get involved in all aspects of filming, I like to get involved on the crew side. So I just started, getting involved with casting and finding locations, and then a little bit of writing on scripts, and then eventually I got to the whole shebang of like directing, producing, writing, casting, kind of doing like the role of 10 people, but for like a film that's only got like a crew of 3, do you know what I mean? So I think I like being behind the camera as much as in front of the camera. It's like an even thing for me. I enjoy doing both. It's both sides. You have just as much fun on both sides, and you have just as much to do on both sides of the camera. So I've done quite a few feature films that have been released in the US, that are soon to be released in the UK. But everything I've done so far has been released in the USA and Canada.
So I've also done a bit of producing, a bit of writing. So I think in between acting roles, it's good to be creative. Like, you don't want to just stop. So I model, I act, I present as well. And I've got a couple of scripts on the go at the moment that I'm in the writing stages of.
The film is kind of what is it? It's like Monty Python meets Ren and Stimpy. I think there's more Ren and Stimpy in it as we go along, actually, than Monty Python. But it's interesting because it's a very collaborative piece, and it's getting more collaborative as we go along. A lot of people are turning around and saying, "Oh yeah, why don't we do this or why don't we do that?" And so there's all these extra little bits, isn't it, that's going on.
Yeah, I'm coming up with funny bits. So if there's any bit in a film that's funny, I came up with that.
Yeah, right.
I'll plan that.
You plan that. As for my character, I play the narrator. So he pops up every now and again. He's kind of he's telling everyone what's going on. I mean, his character, from what he is, he's a voyeur. He sits there and kind of watches stuff. But he's a little bit sexually weird as well. He uses the voyeur stuff to his own personal amusement.
The characters I've played in Matt's films have all been quite different. In Monster, I was playing Richard, who was the most vile human being on the planet. A serial killer, a molester, a cannibal, all-round horrific person. He did have a dark sense of humour, which was a nice little element to him, but a very, very nasty character. In Next Door, my character's quite different. He's a loving father who just wants the best for his daughter, and unfortunately things transpire that it doesn't work out that way. My character in this is very different again. He's a loving husband who believes his wife's having an affair, but then stumbles upon an alien conspiracy. So, very different. This character, like the whole film, is very tongue-in-cheek. There's sort of daft takes on all kinds of genres, Monty Python. We throw in a little bit of 70s Grindhouse, a little bit of Tarantino. I'm at one point doing a really bad impression of Clint Eastwood. So there's all sorts of stuff goes on in this film. So very different characters in all three different films.
It's a sci-fi comedy, and when Matt sent me the script for it, I immediately said to him, it reminds me of a cross between The Invaders and Naked Gun, Airplane, those kind of films. So I was like, it's a combination of if those filmmakers and The Invaders, whoever made Invaders, if they got together and made a film, this is like kind of what that would look like. And he was like, oh, you know, it's Monty Python, that kind of thing. It's that very, it's either very obvious comedy or very weird comedy, kind of mashed together. So I think you have to have a certain sense of humour to get it. And it's kind of like making fun of the 50s sci-fi low-budget films where they had really bad special effects, but it's all they had then. The acting was really OTT, especially the women. The women were very, you know, damsels in distress and oh no, oh gosh, oh my golly, yeah, that kind of thing. My character, Diane Ledbetter, she's one of those. She's one of those very OTT damsel in distress kind of characters, Stepford housewife sort of thing. But it's comical because she's very pathetic and weak, but then he also plays on that with the men being very misogynistic and you women need to stay in the kitchen and do the cleaning and the ironing and the cooking. Like, okay dear, now let me suck your cock.
They Came From the Sky, I Saw Them it's a bit of a surreal comedy with some horror elements. It's actually a really, really fun script. So as soon as it was sent to me, I read it and they did say, look, it's a bit out there. If there's anything you're not happy with, let us know. And I was like, hey, this is really cool. I mean, it's got some weird twists. It's my character, Donna Elaine, she comes from the sky and she kind of steps in someone else's shoes, a bit like I did. And basically she gets found out. And so her thing is all, I don't want to give too much away, her thing's all about what happens to her and her husband finding out that she's not who she is.
I was drunk. Ben's my brother-in-law, and for some reason we had to go and visit the family, and so I had a few drinks.
Me and Matt came over to my house. We started having a few drinks, and then just kind of mucking around, saying, "Oh, wouldn't it be good to do a film like this?" Just coming up with stupid ideas, how to make a film that basically puns on other films and all the stupid movie tropes that you get. So.
And I was like, we should do a sci-fi film, but just do this and this and that. And because Ben's not a writer or anything, but he's very, very good with his hands, and he's got a great creative mind for building things. And he's like, well, what if we do this, this, and this? And I went home and didn't really think much of it. And the next thing, I'm getting test footage of UFOs that he's built on string, and he's got a kid's water pistol and painted it and added tubes and things and lampshades to it. I was like, okay, we're doing this then. So yeah, I literally got drunk and just started talking crap, and that's why we're here.
That's why we remind ourselves every day, why are we filming this? What are we filming?
This is why I don't drink often. I am mostly teetotal.
My favourite bit in it is probably the actual shooting. So the principal photography, I guess, is what they call it. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the writing of it is fine, that's okay, but that's kind of long and drawn out. The actually coming down and actually shooting, it's hard work. but it's a mix of hard work and fun. So that's my favourite bit. And then the editing stuff is okay, but yeah, it's the pure adrenaline rush of getting everything done within certain times. I think.
Yeah, the shooting's fun. The editing sucks. The writing is annoying because I'll write something really fast and give it to Justin to have a read of, and like 3 years later it'll come back. Meanwhile, I've done another 10 drafts. Yeah, it's got to be the shooting, but even then it's not entirely fun. This one's different because it's stupid. But when we're doing a serious film, like I was giving Justin bits to direct and I'd fuck off and have a sleep because I was so ill. We were shooting bits and I'm in the bushes throwing up. So.
Yeah, it's stressful, isn't it? It's that mix of hard work and fun, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I think I like the bits, like last night, for example, when we finished at 5 o'clock. So then we just pissed around until I went home because there's nothing else to do. They're the bits I like best. The in between
The bits doing nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still kind of just wing it. This one I don't really count as a film because I'm literally thinking of things on the fly. Because when you see a setup, like when I saw what Ben did with the set, I was like, oh, we can do this, this, and this with it. You can't do that. You can't prepare for it. But what I have learned from my first film is every film brings a new set of mistakes. So I think I'm learning to problem solve mistakes faster without getting my head up the arse. Because the first few times it was pretty, I would rage, and then I'd send the AD in to go and sort it out because
it's been less fraught. I mean, we learnt a lot from the first two projects, from Monster and Next Door. But at the same time, stuff comes up, but it's not been as stressful, has it?
no, so this one doesn't count because this is just stupid. Real.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely life on other planets somewhere. There has to be.
Certainly not intelligent life on this one.
I believe there's alien life out there. I think there must be. Whether it's more intelligent than mankind or humanity, don't know. But there has to be other life forms out there. The space is just so vast. Gotta be, man. It's gotta be. The truth is out there.
Aliens have got to be real. They have to be, because it would be bloody ignorant to think that we were the only, living, breathing beings in the universe. So yeah, there are definitely aliens, definitely. I'd like to think that they were more intelligent than we are. And they have some sort of, like in sci-fi films, that they have like extra amazing, technology, advanced technology. But I'd like to think that it wouldn't be like Mars attacks and they just like take over the world and blow us all up. Ideally friendly aliens. Never gonna see them.
Are aliens real or fiction? Well, I think we'd be really ignorant to think we are the only planet that have any life form on it, so I'm going to say they're real. I want them to be real.
Cunt.
My best friend, the cunt.
Ah.
My best friend, subtitles, brackets, sometimes.
So a book about my life would be titled Machine, because when I was at school and college, I used to be called a machine because I'm always exercise all the time, especially throughout lockdown. It was every single day. I think I ran every single day for about 50 days straight for about 5 miles each day. So yeah, and also people say I have no emotions. I do. I get told I'm quite cold, but I'm not quite cold. So yeah, Machine by Matt Shaw.
Bucket.
I know what it'd be. You just think that's definitely be the title of the book because that's Matt. But no, I don't. It'd probably be something along those lines. But I don't think my life's been horrific enough to write a book about. But Matt likes a lot more extreme stuff.
Who? That's the
Rod is a cunt.
The Diary of a Wannabe.